Imagine you pick up the phone, and despite all space-time continuum paradox issues, it's you from 10 years ago. Rather than ask for stock tips or relationship or professional advice, past you is ecstatic to hang out with you one-on-one. They planned a fantastic night, dinner at your favorite restaurant featuring all your favorite foods and drink from 10 years ago. And then you're going to a concert and you're going to see your favorite band from 10 years ago. How excited are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to experience a night that would have been an absolute 11 back then? Now, imagine you're the one making the call to yourself 10 years from now. Perfect dinner, drinks, entertainment, exactly what you love today. How much do you think future you is going to enjoy that? Chances are you're dramatically overestimating future you's enthusiasm. In this video, we'll explore this phenomenon known as the end of history illusion. I'll discuss my approach to understanding how we can do our best today to have future us calling to thank current us and invite us to dinner. This may be the only dating advice I ever offer on this channel, but I want to help current you get that dream date and pat on the back with future you. Stick around for my 3-part framework to make this a reality. If you're new to my channel, I'm Jared, a lifelong nerd and ex-Fortune 500 manager in the midst of a major career reinvention. I'm committed to sharing my thoughts on management, professional development, and decision making. One of my favorite Warren Buffett quotes is, "In the business world, unfortunately, the rearview mirror is always cleaner than the windshield." While I agree with Buffett in the business sense, it's my experience that the rearview mirror is a lot easier to see out of than the windshield in most cases. In fact, one of the few places in life where seeing ahead of you is easier may just be your car. In 2013, a research team of Koidbach, Gilbert, and Wilson published an article in Science where they studied nearly 20,000 people to understand their awareness of how much they had changed over the past decade and their prediction of how much they would change in the future. Their finding was, regardless of age, studying people from 18 to 68, people consistently knew how different they were today from 10 years ago, while at the same time drastically underestimating how much they would change in the next decade. Across all 3 dimensions of change, personality, values, and preference, people acknowledged how different they'd become, but failed to predict how much they would change in the future. They dubbed this phenomenon the end of history illusion. Sure, I've done a lot, but I'm me now. This is who I've become, and this is who I'm always going to be. This internal bias leads us to consistently underestimate how much we will change in the future, leading to suboptimal decisions about what we do today and its impact on future us. So why do we all do this? Gilbert and team write of our current selves, people believe that their personalities are attractive, their values admirable, and their preferences wise, and having reached that exalted state, they may be reluctant to entertain the possibility of change. In short, nailed it. We've got this being me thing down. They also concluded, just like Warren Buffett on business, the issue is the ease with which we can Monday morning quarterback our lives with awareness of how far we've come, but the challenge of accurately predicting our future. They write, "Prospection is a constructive process. Retrospection is a reconstructive process, and constructing things is more difficult than reconstructing old ones." Effectively, people find it hard to imagine how their traits, values, or preferences will change in the future, and being hard to imagine, people may confuse the difficulty imagining change with the unlikelihood of change itself. Because I'm a nerd, here's the graphs of their findings. The critical thing to note is the gap between how much people predicted they would change and their reported change. While we typically get better at knowing who we are and the magnitude of our personal change tends to decrease over time, it's also true that across every decade, we get this wrong, underestimating the change that's coming. I recently realized that I have a 7-year itch problem. As I'm still very happily married to my high school sweetheart, I'm playing way past the 7 years on the relationship front. However, my problem's on the professional and personal growth and fulfillment front, and it's happened nearly every 7 years like clockwork. As I share my experience, I want you to reflect on your growth over time and consider how much you've changed in your personality, values, and preferences, particularly what aspects of your life fulfill you. Maybe it's even just your food and drink preferences. I realize that my professional life has thus far followed 3 distinct phases. Phase 1, after college, I'll call it my scientist phase. I went to grad school, I watched a lot of college basketball, and I drank a lot of Miller Lite. My goal was to get through this phase to set myself up to be a professor and go into academia. Well, phase 1 accomplished. I got the professor gig, and I realized by the time I got there, it wasn't who I was. My prediction and effort were productive, but by the time I reached the finish line, my personality and preferences had changed in a way that it was no longer what I wanted. Hard pivot number 1, shifting to industry. Phase 2, we'll call this my innovator phase. I jumped into Clorox and realized I enjoyed business problems and, more significantly, matching technical solutions to solve real consumer problems. The whole time I was there, I was working towards the goal of becoming a manager. I loved leading projects and teams and being creative. Oh, and my beverage preference shifted from cheap domestic beer to craft IPAs and an emerging wine collection. So enter phase 3, Mr. Manager.
We would just say manager.
In grad school, we joked that you knew when somebody was ready to get their PhD because they stopped caring and lost their will to continue. It's like Red in Shawshank Redemption. I had that exact moment at the end of my innovator phase. I was done with bench science. I actively dreaded it. So at Clorox, our annual R&D awards were called Love the Lab. I knew I needed to move on when I talked to my mentor and an R&D leader, and I said I didn't love it and I needed out of it. Like Red, luckily that coincided with my parole, my promotion to manager, and I loved being a manager for a time, engaging with scientists, developing them, working on more challenging and strategic projects. From a beverage perspective, this phase also included doing one of the worst things I've ever done in life, and that is learning the difference between wine and good wine. The other worst thing that I've done also happened during this phase, and that is flying international business class. It is very hard to go back to sitting in the back of the plane once you know the difference. And now I'm at the beginning of phase 4. As I've shared in my other videos, I decided to quit and figure out what's next. I don't know what this phase looks like yet, as my professional windshield looks like it was cleaned by a drunk monkey with an oily rag. The best I can do is program my professional GPS for somewhere I'm excited about, point the car in that direction, and start down the road to see what I learn about myself today. Maybe this ends up as a consultant phase and helping other people solve business problems. Maybe it's a creative and coaching phase with this whole YouTube thing.
Like and subscribe.
But that leads me to my approach and how I'm thinking about actively overcoming my own end of history illusion. Oh, and for a sense of completion, I'll acknowledge phase 4 is moving into top shelf cocktails. How I'm approaching this is really a self-reflection activity focused on 3 aspects: where I am, where my actions are taking me, and where do I want to be. Where you are is about taking a realistic survey of who you are today, your skills and experiences, and what immediate opportunities your past phase has enabled. This should be the easiest assessment, as it's a little backwards looking and reconstructive and just breaking down where you are. I next want to focus on the 3rd aspect. Where do I want to be? This is aspirational. If you got to choose what success looks like in 7 to 10 years, who are you? What are you doing? What makes you happy? Think about this in all aspects of your life, personally and professionally, and your interactions with others, as well as your relationship with yourself. If you woke up tomorrow and it was 2034, and you were this person, you'd be happy and fulfilled. Now, who is that? As we learned from Gilbert and the team, acknowledge that you'll most likely be wrong. We really have little idea about who we'll become, your future experiences that will reshape you, and your satisfaction becoming that person. We just need to take our best guess about who we want to be, as it informs the next and most crucial and controllable aspect. Where are my actions taking me today? The first and last aspect, where you are and where you're going to, are static locations. Your current actions are an arrow. The core question in this phase is assessing whether the arrow of your actions points in the direction of who you want to become. If it does, great. What can you keep doing that sets you up for progress in discovering who you are in the future? If it's not pointed in the right direction, that's fine. It just clarifies that you need to change your actions today to adjust your trajectory. Across the dimensions of your personal and professional life, what needs the most directional correction? And what steps can you take today to change that? Since we also know we're wrong about who we're going to be in the future, all we can do is try to make the best choices to set them up with the skills and ability to seize the opportunities when they arise. Reflecting on myself, this 3-part framework highlighted the issue that caused me to quit my job. I knew where I was as Mr. Manager.
Well, manager. We would just say manager.
I saw the trajectory of my arrow, and the person that I wanted to be was no longer anywhere near the direction I was headed. Thankfully, the choices of all my phases before had allowed me to hop off that train, reorient myself, and head in a direction that I'm excited about. I have a vague idea of who future me is, and I want to use my time today to balance present me's fulfillment while doing the best to be enthusiastic about the future me I'm creating. Who we are in the future is unknown, but I want to do my best for future me so that when they call me, their first words are thank you and not to tell me what a dumbass I was. Sure, I've definitely been an idiot in the past. I'm highly likely to be an idiot again. Still, overall, the choices I made in the past enable me to seize today's opportunities. Today, it's my job to choose and take actions that are going to help me succeed in the future. I hope this was helpful, and please consider helping present me's success by hitting the like button and consider subscribing as I share future content like this. So what are you going to do today? Are you happy with the direction your trajectory arrow is pointing? In the comments below, share something that you're excited about today that your future self will thank you for. Alternatively, what's something that your future self wishes you'd be doing differently today to enable them to be successful? And what can you change to get started with that right now? If you're interested in individualized coaching to walk you through this framework and other career development and self-realization activities, reach out on my website and I'd be happy to discuss private coaching opportunities. If you want more tips on sustainably changing your current behaviors, check out this video. Thanks for watching, keep thinking, and we'll talk again soon.